tell me that the podium would be so tall either, so I'll try to stay away from it. I hate to have to look at my own slide for my very brief introduction. I'm not here to sell anything, but I'm a Minnesota licensed real estate broker, a mobile professional, which is I like anything that's free software that'll make my job easier, and that's really what this is all about. These days when we do a real estate transaction, I like to have one piece of paper in the end, and that would be an earnest money check. Nothing else. I mean, everything, we try to do everything electronic. I am a refugee from corporate America. I even worked for the government. I have a background in technology. In 1982, I learned how to program in BASIC, so now you know how old I am. Do they still use BASIC? No one's ever heard of it. Okay, thank you very much.
Hey, Teresa, I have.
Thank you. Well, okay, that's believable. You're also a broker. Okay. Anyway, celebrating 12 years of self-employment. I'm also a columnist for a company called Inman News. I write a column for real estate agents. And I'm a photographer. And I always have to mention that I have health insurance because to me it's just a really super big deal to be self-employed and have health insurance. And I like to bike. So I titled this Evernote for Everything in the description, but then I had to add and more because Evernote started out as a simple note-taking application, but it has grown and grown and grown, and I'll tell you right now, I do not profess to be an Evernote expert. From a business point of view, I'm a power user, and what I want to do today is show you possibilities. And, you know, I think that you would get the most out of this if you thought in terms of what this can bring to your own business or to your daily life rather than how I use it, unless you sell real estate. So one of the things about Evernote that I've noticed since the very beginning is everybody, people that use it, they say, I love Evernote. I just love Evernote. But nobody ever says what they do with it. So instead of saying how much I love Evernote, which I do, I really want to look at what you can do with it. So Evernote is cloud-based. It's on the internet. You have an app that you can put. I use it on my Android phone, my Apple iPad, my Macintosh, and I have it on a PC. And my own bias is I like the Android and the PC interfaces the best. But they all do the same thing. If I have a note in Evernote and I made it with my Android, when I go home, it'll be on my Macintosh, or it'll be on my iPad, or if I want to use Josh's computer right now to look it up, I can find it on the internet. So that's the thing you need to know is that you can capture anything from anywhere, but that is not even the drop-dead coolest part about Evernote. What's really cool about Evernote is you can find your stuff. So, I mean, how many times, you know, what do we use in business? We used to print all these pieces of paper, and then we used to put them in bigger pieces of paper. We called those file folders. And then we used to take those bigger pieces of paper and put them in bigger pieces of paper that we called hanging file folders. And then we put those in file cabinet drawers. So what happens 5 years later when you want something? Do you ever find it? Okay, okay. Okay, what is paper anyway? Anyway, so like I already mentioned, I mean, what you need to know. Does anybody in the room use Evernote? All right, okay, because this is what I want. I actually still have an old BlackBerry that I use it on. Oh, I just have to get this out of the way. I don't know why people ask me this, but they do. They ask what the difference between Evernote and Dropbox is. Anybody want to answer that? Yeah, everything is a good answer. If you're not an Evernote user, I mean, I use Dropbox too. I put entire files in Dropbox, but for a different reason. It's cloud storage. I can share files with my clients. I recognize I can do that in Evernote too, but it's completely different. I mean, I'll take one real estate file, the Johnsons, which is something I discovered in real estate, by the way, is women will name their files after their clients. Men will name them after a property address. So I'll take number 123 Pleasant Street, and I'll put that whole file in Dropbox, and that file may have originally consisted of tons of Evernotes because I use that for everything, but that's how I share it with people. So now that we got that out of the way, so we're just going to kind of start with the basic structure, which is a note. And notes can have tags, and tags can go into notebooks. Bear with me. Okay, that is the Android interface. If anybody has an Android in here, you got to love this interface. But a note itself can be a picture, a note, audio, or it can be a file. But all those things can be in one note. And that's something I find extremely valuable about Evernote, and you'll see how I use it. I have a handwritten note there, and most people don't know this. If you write something by hand and take a picture of it and put it in Evernote, Evernote can read it. I can actually search the text in that stupid little handwritten note, and I can find it again. So for me, for my whole career, for years and years and years, and I still carry it out of habit, I carry a notebook around, and every page has a date on the top of it, and I use the notebook for taking notes. Well, now I maybe go through a page a week, because most of my stuff's going into Evernote. But if I want to capture those notes, I can save them in Evernote. If they belong to a client file, like maybe I drew a floor plan or something, I can attach it to the client, put it in the client's folder in Evernote, in Notebook. But the other thing, way you can get notes into Evernote that is really important, this is the iPad interface. These are all, and it looks similar on a computer, but if you look at it, if you can see all the little icons, it's almost like a word processing program. I mean, you can make things bold, you can make any kind of text you want, you can attach a file, contract, I've attached contracts, I digress. The web clipper, that is the other drop-dead cool way of getting things into Evernote. Every browser has a web clipper, so go find your web clipper. The solution for the iPad, I don't like it all, but there are a couple solutions for the iPad too. I didn't mean iPad 2, I meant iPad also. But like I have a photography notebook, and I'm planning on going to a couple of photography, they're like conferences, workshops. So, I found this one online. It started out in my photography notebook. I clipped it. So I have it there. I have the date on my calendar, but all the information is right there. So, I mean, that's a super cool use of Evernote, too, is planning a vacation. But for doing any kind of research, you can do a whole presentation just using Evernote, using this clipper. You have the stuff you already have, and you have it in your notebook, and then you'll go out and use the clipper to do more research and add it to your presentation. So anybody in here work in like a computer programmer? Okay. Can you think of a way you could use Evernote on the job, or that you do with that web clipper? Perfect. Last project I worked on was like a year ago. It was for a little company that makes apps. I did it. We had they call it a housing, our state statistician, economist, called it a housing depression. It was so bad. Well, some of us ended up taking on a little extra work, and I actually did some iPad app testing for a little company, and I kept everything. in one Evernote notebook. I mean, that's how I knew what they were doing. That's how I had the links to all the websites. You know, like you're working on a project and there's maybe 10 different links you use all the time. There's, I don't know, I had little snippets of code that I used to have to use, that I used to paste in, and I used to keep in my notebook. Come on, you guys, you got to have some imagination. Doesn't anybody use this on the job?
Particularly hairy regular expressions.
Hairy regular expressions? Okay, he uses it. I think anybody else have a job where they use this?
Meeting notes.
Ah, meeting notes, perfect. And what can you do with the meeting notes?
Share them with people that weren't there.
Share them with, if you heard that, he uses Evernote for meeting notes and he shares them with other people. I'm collaborating on a project right now with somebody, and that's all the project is a shared Evernote notebook. And she puts stuff in it, and I put stuff in it, and then every now and then we get together and talk about stuff. Which brings me...
You could also take an audio recording of the meeting in Evernote and then share it with everyone.
Perfect. Did you hear that? Take an audio recording of the meeting and put it in Evernote and share it with everyone. And I imagine you could take a picture of everybody in the room and put it in there too. So that's the shared notebooks can be awesome if you're working on something together. But yeah, see, I don't work in I work in a micro brokerage, so you need to help me with ideas of how you do this in a company, because there is a product called Evernote Business, and I haven't even really looked at it yet. So you need to go on the website and look at it, how a department or a company can use this. Perfect. She said she uses it as a bookmarking tool to save links.
Could you like take video of that meeting? Can you do that?
I don't think that Evernote takes video itself. I suppose it's possible. I guess I'd have to tap on my little camera icon, but you absolutely could store the video in Evernote.
It also links with the LiveScribe pen and also with an app called Itch.
Thank you. I'm going to get into the related apps, including Sketch, but I don't use LiveScribe. Could you tell me how you use that and what it is?
The LiveScribe pen is just a pen that uses a certain kind of paper. It has a camera in it, so you can record the whole session that you're listening to, and you link it to your account, and then your notes are searchable that way. So all the notes that you have taken are then in there. Other people have notes that they've taken, and you can search other people's notes if they make them public. But it's the pen, so it can be used in different kinds of settings. It could be used with, in my situation, I'm a teacher, so kids can use it. Kids can record on it. I can search it. I can have the kids save their notes that way. I could save notes for the rest of the class that way if you want me to share.
And see, she's doing the same thing that I'm doing with taking pictures of my notes, except only hers are going handwritten notes right into Evernote with that. And that was one of their early, I remember how impressed I was when they came out with that. That was one of the first things they introduced, is that LiveScribe pen for people who don't like to type. Evernote is free, but I highly recommend the $45 a month account. And the reason I have this screen print so that I don't forget, you can also email things to Evernote. The last BlackBerry I had, which I still have and I love, but I don't actually use, it's sitting on my desk. I use that for Evernote a lot. And what I would do is take pictures of it, or take pictures and email them to Evernote, because it also geocodes pictures. And I bike a lot, and a lot of the paths in St. Paul or around the Twin Cities are mapped well, but not all of them are. And so I have all these geotagged pictures. I can show you any of half a dozen bike routes on a map and show you these pictures and show you what the bike route looks like.
Just to clarify, that $45 is annually.
Yes. I'm sorry, $45 annually or $5 a month.
In a shared notebook environment, can other people delete my content?
Good question. I guess I'd have to look that up on Evernote. I know one of the notebooks I'm sharing, because I have a premium account, she does have editing rights to that account. I don't know, and I know that she could delete my notes. Well, I don't think she could delete mine, but she could delete hers. But she could change mine if she wanted to.
They can also be shared so that they can't be modified.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. I know you can share notes so that they can't be modified by someone else. So, but actually deleting them, I'm not sure in a shared where someone can modify if they can delete my notes.
If
So,
you're on Twitter, you can also save your tweets by
yes,
setting it up with my EN.
absolutely. That's, I don't have that up here. I have that on a future slide. Yes, you can save your tweets. No, that's okay. Keep going with it. These are some of my client files are in here. You can stack notebooks. So what I tend to do is, because I'm a real estate agent, I have a notebook called Sellers. And then inside that notebook, I have sub-notebooks with various client properties. And the same with buyers. So it'll be a notebook stack. And I can easily find, like when I'm meeting with a buyer, I can easily find their file and what's in it. And then eventually I archive the files as they get old. This I have up. This is another drop dead cool feature that I hope someone else in this room is using. You can not only search, you can search on tags, you can search on text, you can search on any, the contents of a note, the title of a note, but you can also save your searches. So sometimes there are things that I need over and over and over again. So I put a tag in there, asterisk, asterisk. Every time I type in those two, that pile of notes comes up. I find, I can quickly find what I want. But a lot of times I just use plain English words, like Supra is the company that manages an electronic key that I use. And I know I have a bunch of stuff that I access through my phone, and that's probably why that's in there. The other thing, when you get into the desktop applications, if you don't have one, how you set it up makes a difference. You have a great deal of control over what goes on that right-hand side. You can put shortcuts to notebooks you use all the time. You can look at it in list view. You can look at it in notebook view. If you're a person that uses it a lot, you might want to have certain notebooks handy. You can actually drag content into them. A lot of content can also be put in with a scanner, and people do that. I mean, I have friends that love to use paper, but to stay organized, they scan all the paper in. Does anybody else use the SnapScan? Can you tell us about that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, I actually spent most of the last year, little by little, digitizing my entire home office, paperless. And I use it for just to scan snap to capture it, and then eventually feed it into Evernote, do OCR and all the PDFs. In fact, if people are interested in hearing more about that, maybe I can do an ad hoc session or just a hallway talk, because there's a lot of gotchas about Evernote's idea of OCRing a PDF versus doing it locally with the ScanSnap software, and some other hard lessons learned that if anyone's about to embark on this, you should talk to me and I'll save you a lot of
Okay.
hours.
Now, I just used a big sheet feed. I have a scanner, a Neat scanner it's called. And I just picked up software for it, and I scanned to Evernote with it, like 50 pages at a time, and I haven't had any problem reading it.
No,
Oh.
both paths
Oh.
work. Evernote doesn't actually add the text index back into the PDF in a way that you can export it back out.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
People need that.
Okay.
To be able to take the PDF and take it back out of Evernote
Okay.
into your home office.
Yeah, see, what I'm doing is drop dead uncomplicated. This stack of papers gets digitized, this stack gets thrown in the trash, this stack goes to the shredder.
Are you concerned about security? Can someone hack your account and take your tax returns or something?
Yes and no. They had a breach a while back. In fact, I was out with clients, which is why I learned that offline notebooks are handy. But I couldn't get into my account because they made everybody change them. So there have been a couple of breaches that I've known about. I password protect my account, and I change the password, and I password protect my iPad and my phone. where I have Evernote so people can't get into it. My philosophy on that is probably a little different than most, and that is I just refuse to believe that anybody's after my tax records. But I won't leave like my social security number in Evernote. I mean, I would never do that. I don't have my credit card numbers in it, but I do have stuff that I wouldn't like to escape out in the wild.
So my design goal was to literally go paperless in the office, but put like medical records and everything. So offline folders where it's only on the system that you scanned it on with additional protections on that folder. You just have to make the choice between security and convenience.
He's right. You know, and that's an excellent point. I've done that too, where you just take the folder and you make it available on your desktop machine and not everywhere else. You can do that. That's a great security measure. Pardon?
It never goes online.
Right. It is possible to make it so that the notebook is local only and it never goes online, which you can't access it from everything, but you still have that whole awesome, you know, database thing going on where you can search it. Go ahead.
You generate bibliographies from Evernote for research projects.
Anybody? I don't know how to do a bibliography in anything, so
There are actually a number of apps that you can use, but I'm hoping to avoid having to keep track in Evernote and in another
gotcha.
app to do the bibliography.
Well, this is going to seem weird, but I do almost all my writing of things that get written and published in Google Docs. I do, and I keep them in the storage, you know, the Google Drive. Oh, and this is, I mean, it took me a long time to discover this, and honestly, I think this is so handy. You can actually paste plain text into Evernote. Honestly, when I first got, I used a Macintosh, used a PC, went back to Macintosh, was so disappointed in the Macintosh and plain text. Just to be able to have this up on my, you know, and be able to paste plain text into it so that I could use it later to copy and paste. It's very handy if you have something you need over and over and over again that you can't have all kinds of formatting on, like something that goes into a blog post or a script or something like that.
I don't think that's an Evernote feature. I think that's a Mac feature. You can do that shift flower V in every app.
You think it's just on the Mac that you can do plain text in Evernote, you're saying?
No, I think that if you're on a Mac and you type shift flower V, it's going to paste plain text no matter what app you're using, web browser,
Okay.
whatever.
Okay. I understood it was a feature. I'd read about it somewhere that they added it, and I used this as the only screenshot I could find. So maybe it is just in any. I wasn't able to find it. Of course, that doesn't mean anything. I was talking about geotagging. That's just one of my. There is a view on my iPad where you can look at your notes and you can say, put them on a map for me. And it's really pretty cool. I mean, like when I'm here today, it'll show that I made 6 notes, and I'll be able to tell, you know, where I made those notes from. But it's particularly handy for pictures. I do some wildflower photography too. I mean, I'll know exactly where to go if spring ever comes to find the wildflowers because I have them all on this map. This is Sketch. Someone mentioned Sketch. Who else uses Sketch? Cool. It's an Evernote product. What do you use Sketch for?
Documenting any changes that need to be made to a website.
Okay. Will you take a screenshot?
I'll take a screenshot and then note up what needs to be changed.
Sweet. That's a great idea. Did you hear Sketch is a way to get screenshots, photographs, and you can write on them. So she uses it to take screenshots of changes that have been made to websites, and then you probably write something on that too and put other things in the note. I found it really handy on my phone. I mean, even if you want to do something like write some names of people that you took pictures of, for Facebook or whatever. Who else uses Sketch?
So does Sketch save the whole web page as an image?
Sketch is for screen capture, and if I had my iPad working on this, I'd be giving you a demonstration. But it gives you the option. You can capture the whole screen, you can capture part of it, or you can even do a timed capture. So let's say you want to do a screenshot with that drop-down menu, or you've got something going on the screen, you can actually select the screen and do a timed capture so that you can pull down your menu. You've got like 5 seconds, and then it'll clip it. So it's a powerful tool for screen capture, and then it will store, like my Evernote setup, so that all my sketches are stored in one folder, but I can drag them out, or I can put them in different notes wherever I need them, or drag them directly to a note. So like if you use a Macintosh, you can do your sketch picture screen print and then just drag it to wherever you need it. Very handy. Anyone else use Sketch?
Question, is this similar or built on the web clipper?
No, it's two different things. The web clipper is kind of interesting how it works. The web clipper gives you the option of clipping a link, clipping a whole page. It doesn't do a screenshot. You get, sometimes when you call it up, and I wish I have a picture of one on my iPad, like I'll call up a note where I use the web clipper and I'll see an actual web page. But if you click on it, I mean, the links are active and everything. It's not a picture, it's the web page itself.
So it's actually just recording the link for the web page?
And the link, both.
Offline version of the web page.
Thank you.
Okay.
Offline version of the web page. He says it's so much better than I do. Yeah, so it's not, Sketch is a little different. Sketch actually creates a JPEG. Okay. Anyone else use Sketch? Okay, well, that's a quick penultimate.
I have a question. Will this send you reminders about notes? Like notes to follow up on? In any calendar?
Anybody? I don't use it that way. There's a to-do box. You can make a to-do note and you can check, you can have a list. And I've heard that it works with Get Things Done. Is that a system you use? Okay. So I don't know of any way of making an alert in there, and no one in the room does? The Evernote trunk and the Evernote website are awesome. I mean, for support, real support. They'll answer like any question in there. So I would try that, and I can maybe look it up when I'm done. But anyway, Penultimate is a separate standalone app, but now Evernote owns that too, and it works with Evernote. Some of my friends that are coders actually use it for wireframes. You can share it. You can share it with someone else. You can turn it into a PDF. You can, of course, store it in Evernote. They automatically go into Evernote. I don't use it a lot, but I've had to sketch up floor plans for people. I do a lot of condos, and there's some basic floor plans in buildings, so I'll do a sketch of it. You'll pretty much have to, or at least I do, have to have a stylus. I don't like doing it with my finger, but you totally can just use your finger on it. Does anybody else use it? No? Oh my God, try it. It's fun, actually. Okay, this is Evernote Trunk. And this is really, this is where I go to learn about new products and new ideas. What I like about this software is they have a huge user base. You can find people that do what you do and have some of the same uses as that you have so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So if you just go to the Evernote Trunk and look at their products and ideas, you'd just be amazed. Like Evernote Food, there's a whole app for taking pictures of food that you like, collecting recipes, collecting information about restaurants. It really depends what your interests are. I love food, but I don't know that I would take the time to do all that. Those are some examples of searches. Anybody have questions about searches or stories to tell, or, because that's, you know, the Evernote website too, there's a whole section on searching. And it will show you, I mean, there's whole articles on the subject, you know, the 20 best ways to search Evernote. This is kind of an ad on the Evernote website, and it's about why you would want a premium account. And I'm going to have to read it off my iPad here because I can't see it on the screen. I strongly recommend a premium account, mostly because of the upload sizes are bigger. You can upload like, they put limits on your uploads, and I'll have to look that up because I'm not seeing it on here. You can upload like a gigabyte a month, I know that. Nope, can't see it, sorry. Note history, when you delete notes, you can look back. Faster recognition, I've always had the premium, so I don't know how slow character recognition is on the other. But when you put a handwritten note in there, if you got on your phone and tried to look at that note or tried to search it, it wouldn't come up as character recognition at all. I mean, it takes it a while to do that. And they say the premium is faster. I like the passcode lock. I got my iPad stolen, so I'm all into security. But you can put a separate lock on your Evernote account, which is good if you're going to have your social security number in it. You can do more with collaborating with the premium account. The offline notebooks are great because, see, what happens is you put together a whole client notebook, and then you go to the one place on the planet Earth that doesn't have Wi-Fi or data access, and you try to look something up, and you can't from your iPad or your phone. So having the capability of having an offline notebook, it will sync with the notebook online, but it'll also be offline, which is different than a completely offline notebook. Please read Evernote for instructions. Priority support, I've never needed support, so I don't know anything about that. But from a business perspective, I mean, as a small business, honestly, I usually would much rather pay a little bit of money for something and get some support, because chances are if I'm using it, I really need it, and I can't just wait for whatever. I mean, I won't use a product if I can't get support or if it doesn't work. These are just a couple of things I do. I like to take pictures of receipts. They're not my tax records, but they go into a tax notebook. And if the IRS wants to audit me, I can absolutely prove with receipts how much postage I bought. I mean, it backs up the records I have in my bank account and everything. And the other thing, there's just little handy uses, like I have a picture of my license plate. How many times do you go to a hotel and they say they want your license plate number and you don't have a clue? Because of the way Evernote works, I can type in 10,000 and I'll get that. I can type in GUL and I'll get that. I can type in Minnesota, you know, you see what I'm saying? And there's a whole logic there too. They put a limit on how many notebooks you can have, and I don't even remember what that limit is, but there's no limit on tags. And so a lot of us, I mean, you start Evernote, you go to the old school filing system that you were taught a million years ago, and you set up a separate notebook for everything, just like you would files. You really don't need to do that. I mean, you can do it that way. You can do it any way you want to. It's very, very flexible. But I have found that tags are my friend. I mean, because I can click on that tag and I can get the note so much faster without knowing which notebook it's in.
What's your strategy for not having 7 billion tags?
Well, you know, it's funny you say that because I had so many tags it was unbelievable. And so I started paring them down. And then all of a sudden it dawned on me, what difference does it make? You know, and one of the things I'm doing to cut down on the number of tags is when you start putting a tag on a note, you can see. I mean, it'll call, like you start to type LI, it'll call up the tag that says light. So you can see that that tag's there and just click on it. I mean, it helps you see which tags are already in there so that you can use them again, I guess is what I'm saying. Or, you might want to use light instead of lights. I mean, that's what I tend to do. And the other thing you can do with this, you can combine notes too. At least you can in the desktop version. So you can take, maybe you have 800 notes with the same, or several notes with the same tag that are related. You can take those and put them all into one note. I found that to be very useful too, because I'll end up with these little bitty notes all over the place. The other thing is I think, we can become digital hoarders the same way we can become hoarders, seriously. I think I've been using this since like maybe 2009, 2010. I think that there's a tendency to just super get carried away with it. I mean, so what I've kind of got back to the basics. Things that I used to keep notes on, I keep notes on. I mean, I'm not really doing it, but it was like, how do I get this into Evernote? How do I get this into Evernote? Everything I did. And I've seen people get so obsessed with it. I belong to this group on Facebook, and they were in there one night saying, how many Evernotes do you have? I have over 3,000 Evernotes. Well, that is so dysfunctional. I mean, this is a tool. It's supposed to help you. You don't win if you die with the most notes. I mean, there's no prize for using this, And what I find is it makes my life just super easy. I mean, I've got a client file, which these days a real estate contract for an offer alone is going to be 24 pages. I have all those 24 pages in a place where I can find them. I can get at them quickly. If somebody calls me while I'm in my car and says, hey, I don't think, line 101 was initialed by one of your buyers, I can pull over and look it up. I mean, it's stuff like that makes my life so much easier. And being able to check into a hotel and knowing what my license plate number is. And when you travel to another city, I have a notebook called Travel, but I can put, my my ticket in there. I can put everything I need, the hotel, everything in that one little place. I found that to be invaluable, just for it helps me keep track of stuff. Oh, I have to mention this. Some people want certain things to go into Evernote all the time, and there's not very much that's automatically about it. Does anybody use IFTTT? Okay. How do you use it?
Like if I put up a blog post or whatever, I have it automatically dropped into my Evernote.
Cool. He says when he writes a blog post, he has it automatically go into Evernote. What this does, it stands for if this, then that. And so if you've never used it, this is free too. There's all kinds of recipes on the site. So maybe you're an Evernote user and you want all your Instagrams to go into Evernote. It used to be really hard to get your Instagrams, find them, see them all in one place online. Now it's pretty easy to do. But that would be one way you could use if this, then that. You take your Instagram picture, it automatically goes into a special folder in Evernote, which is something I forgot to mention about emailing them in. You can actually control what folder they go into or what notebook and put a tag on them, so for future reference. But this is pretty powerful. Who else uses it? How do you use it?
Gmail, I have whenever I label it, like unemployment, whenever I label it employment, something related to employment, then it automatically goes into it, so that I always have record of all my emails.
Awesome. This is actually, it would be a great tool for a job hunter. I use it, I mean, if you're like I am, you're prospecting all the time. You pretty much have to. But I keep track actually of everybody that ever contacted me, and I can go back through those. I mean, we have databases and everything, but I mean, I have all those notes in there. So like right now, there are very few houses on the market. I went through all the people that in the last 2 years I said, no, you can't sell unless you have $30,000 because you're upside down. I have a list of all those people, and I've been able to contact them, and some of them can sell their houses now. But that's pretty powerful. Templates and forms. I'm not an organized person, believe it or not. I'm not into templates or forms. but you'll find it in the Evernote trunk. If you have like certain information you take over and over and over again, you can find a template or you can make one so that you can have that same form available to fill out over and over and over again. Does anybody do that here? Nope. Okay. Oops, I guess that's it. Huh, all gone.
Thank you.